5 years old, and in today's video, I will be discussing the reasons why we have chosen to homeschool. So many times people will ask us why we didn't place our little girl in a traditional school. And it's so hard to answer this question just because the answer is so complex and there are so many reasons. But in today's video, I will try to answer this question the best I can. But before I begin, I also want to say to those moms who are not homeschooling and have placed their little ones in a public or private school, I just want to say that I greatly respect your decision. I am in no way judging, and I don't want to discourage anyone. I think that you are the best person to make that decision for your little one. And I know that the best with their best interest at heart. And so I just wanted to say that I think there are many ways to stay involved in your little one's life. And this video is only to share my opinions, but that's all. So now to the reasons why we have decided to homeschool. I think that if I could sum it all up in one word, I would say it's protection. We just want to protect her mind, her heart, her innocence. So a lot of the reasons that I will be sharing have to do with protection. We want a high quality education for our little girl. And as a former teacher, I know the many weaknesses that exist in the school system. I remember trying very hard and working very hard to address the needs of all my students. But it's just not possible. I am only one person with a limited amount of resources and a limited amount of time. And it's just so hard because we receive large groups of students, all at different levels, and they all have different needs. And it's just very difficult to tailor that education to each of those individual needs. It's just not possible, and so I know that as a homeschooling mom, I will be able to give her one-on-one attention and just plan according to her own needs and her own interests, and I just feel that is going to be a higher quality education for her. So another reason is that my vision, or our vision, her daddy and I, for our little girl, is not necessarily the same vision of the school system. Just because if you look at the school system, it's designed to produce a certain kind of citizen. And that would be just a person that is basically a laborer, a person that has a specific schedule, works from 9 to 5, is trained to follow directions and produce, but that is not necessarily the type of path I want my little girl to follow. I would love for her to have an entrepreneurial mindset, and even if she does decide to have just a regular job, which there is nothing wrong with that, I think that having an entrepreneurial mindset is still going to be so helpful for her to acquire those leadership skills, that creativity, that initiative. Is going to help her in any environment that she finds herself in. And I don't know what my little girl is going to decide. So I just want to prepare her for whichever path she decides to take. And so another reason is that we are seeing just how there is an increasing problem with indoctrination of our little ones. And it's just not in the school system, but it's everywhere. There are so many agendas and so many beliefs that are held by society in general that oppose our Christian beliefs and our moral principles. And that is also happening in the schools. And so I don't want her exposed to that. I don't want her to be confused and I basically don't want her to receive information that is held as truth by society, but I want her to be a thinker, and I want her to pursue truth, because I know that if she does pursue truth with an open heart, with a humble heart, I know that it's going to lead her ultimately to God, because He is the only truth. And so that's what I want. I want her to be a thinker and not a receiver of information. And we also want to protect her from peer pressure and influences, negative influences, that she's not prepared to deal with. Her daddy and I have worked so hard to build in her confidence. We tell her every day how beautiful she is, how intelligent, how kind. And we see that in her, just the way she carries herself, the way she expresses her thoughts with freedom, the way she's not afraid to speak to anyone, an adult or a child. We see that she is very confident, and we are afraid that upon entering the school system, that could all very well fall apart. And that is not what we want, and much less have that harm her emotionally for life. There are just so many things going on. There's bullying, and there is negative peer pressure, and I just don't think that she's ready for that. And so another reason is that we want to protect her from all types of abuse that could happen in a school setting. So as a teacher, I witnessed a lot of, I would consider abuse from teachers, screaming at students. And before I go any further, I want to say that there are some great teachers, and most teachers are just excellent teachers that are working so hard and have a great love for their students. And I met some beautiful, beautiful people that love their students. So this is not to say to be negative in any way, but it's just something. These are just things that I really did see as a teacher. Teachers that would scream at their students and humiliate them in large groups of other students and just basically break their spirit. And I think that that shouldn't happen, but sadly it does. And even if you voice that and you say what is going on, most of the time, since schools are in so much need of those teachers, they will not do anything. And so I don't want my little girl to be discouraged or be emotionally scarred for life. I don't want that to affect her in any way, and so I'd rather her not be exposed to that. And of course, we also hear of other more severe forms of abuse, which also do happen, and of course we just don't want that. Place her in any danger in that way. And also to protect her innocence. I remember that as a new teacher, my first year of teaching, I remember one day going home and just crying because I was noticing how the children would have so much knowledge of things they're not supposed to know. They would sing songs they were not supposed to be singing, and I'm sure they didn't fully understand. So sad to see this, and it's just a reality of life that children are losing their innocence, even at a very early age, and that is the influence that other children receive at school. And so I want to preserve my little girl's innocence for as long as possible. I want her to grow up to be 13 or 14 and still be able to play and not feel bad about it, and not and just for her to be innocent for the longest possible. Also for her to develop healthy social skills. And I know that many people will think that that is not a reason to homeschool, because there is a stereotype of homeschool students, that they don't have the social skills that other students who go to school have. But I think it's the opposite. I think that homeschooled students are gonna develop that confidence, to not be afraid to speak, to not be afraid to socialize, because they haven't been exposed to the embarrassment, they haven't been exposed to the negative influences. They are very confident, and I see that in my little girl, because I know that she is not afraid to talk to everyone, and I just see that confidence in her. And also I think that as a homeschool student, she does get that exposure. She's not only at home, she goes to other places, but those interactions that she does come across are more natural. The way we also interact naturally with other people, not necessarily in a classroom setting, which we are rarely found in throughout our lives. Most of the time we are at the store or at church or at a park, and that is how we meet people, and that's how we make friends and socialize. So more natural environments. So instead of her having those negative experiences that sometimes children have at school, she is mostly gonna have positive experiences, and I just think it's gonna be a healthier set of social skills. And the final reason is that I want to spend more time with her. As a mom, you know that time goes by so fast, and we just want to hold on to our little ones the longest possible, and that is my case. I want to make as many memories and hold her as much as I can, and talk to her as much as I can, and spend time with her. And I just think that there is nothing wrong with that. There will be a time when she will be independent, she will leave home, and I just want to treasure this time, and I think that that is definitely a powerful reason to homeschool. And finally, just a little illustration of how I see homeschooling and the reason why I want to homeschool my little girl. But if you, let's say that you have a little seed and you want to grow a flower or fruits or vegetables, where would you plant that little seed? Would you plant it among the weeds, where there is no sunlight, the soil is not very good, there is no moisture? Or would you plant that in a place where you know there is a lot of exposure to sunlight, the soil has lots of nutrients, and it is just the best conditions for that little seed to grow? So I feel the same way for my little girl. I want her to grow up in the best conditions so that she can grow healthy, so that she can be just a beautiful human being. And I believe that homeschooling provides that for us. So that is also just something to think about. And so if you are considering homeschooling, I just want to say that as a homeschooling mom, I recommend it 100%. We are so happy with our decision. We love it. Both my little girl and I and her daddy love this experience. We just think it's a beautiful blessing and a beautiful opportunity to homeschool our little girl. And so that is it for today's video. I hope you enjoyed it, and if you did, could you please hit the like button? It would help my channel tremendously, and subscribe for more videos like this one. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next